If you're into sweet and crisp music quality, then there's a little secret in the CX-8 that you really like. It's the amazing Bose sound system that Mazda has integrated into this car. So this is it, the new Mazda CX-8, and this version right here is the very top of the range at over 2 million baht. Now, you would be forgiven if you're having a tough time differentiating between the Mazda CX-8 and the CX-5, right? Mazda has not worked that hard to separate them both. First steps, of course, what you notice is the difference in the front headlamps. With the LED addition over here, that makes the CX-8 a little bit more premium in look. That seems to be the first pointer that this is a CX-8. But if you take a look at the side of the Mazda CX-8, then you kind of know that this car really is the CX-8. How do you know that? This little addition over here. Remember, the CX-5 is not such a long car. So therefore the CX-8, because one extra seat over here, tends to come on back all the way here. Much bigger space between the D pillar and the C pillar. But there's one way to distinguish the CX-8, and that's from the back. Let's go take a look. It's at the back of the CX-8 that you can obviously identify the car. Not just because of the CX-8 moniker right here, also because of the chromium strip that runs along the back of the CX-8. And besides that, you've got a slightly different set of rear tail lights. Now, that's enough of the design. What about how the car feels like to drive? So let's take it for a spin. What's very nice about the CX-8 is the fact about how nimble it feels in the city. It doesn't feel cumbersome. Remember, this is a car that's got 3 rows of seats, right? And it's a fairly big SUV, but still, it feels very easy to drive. It doesn't seem to have that big, clunky feel to it. The car handles really well. There's lots of support for you. We have the blind side indicator. You have the all the cameras around the car, making it a lot easier when you're parking. So, I must say, definitely a very nimble car for its size. And even in the city, one of the benefits is the additional cameras. Take a look at this. That's when you get too close to the car in front of you, the CX-8 will let you know about the vehicle is a little too close ahead of you, and also about the cars on the side. Now, I know that this is standard feature on some of the higher end cars, but it's just nice to also have it here in the CX-8, which is kind of a high end car, but definitely a cool function. So one of Mazda's design concepts is called Jinba Ittai. What that basically means is that the rider and the horse are one. In technical term, what that means is that the power steering control unit is connected to the engine control unit as well. Now, how that transmits is that when you turn the steering in the Mazda, the power to the engine is dropped by a little bit. By doing this, more weight is transferred to the front of the car, allowing you to turn the steering in with more precision because there's more weight in the front. So the interior of the CX-8. Now that's quite something to look at. First of all, you need that to get in the car, and that's pretty much becoming standard in almost every car. And in this case, you've got the besides the lock and unlock, you've also got the rear tailgate opening, which is electronic as well. To start that up, of course, you need your engine start-stop function right over here. Again, very standard. But I guess what is fairly new in the CX-8 is this function right here, which is this little screen, which is also a touch screen, so you can actually do things with that. And you've got that, and then you've got your navigation, you've got your settings, you've got your music. So all that is out here. But in the case that when you're driving, if you obviously it's not easy to be managing a touchscreen, which is why Mazda also put this thing right in place over here, which is the control system for all of the controls just now that you saw on the screen. You have the home function, you've got the music function, you've got the navigation function, and you've also got your music control right here, volume right here. Now that, oh yeah. All right, cool. So that's another function there. Besides that, you've also got your electronic handbrake over here, so you can just pull that or that. And you also have the auto hold function, which seems to be becoming the standard function in most cars, which is allowing you to engage the handbrake when you step on the brake pedal full, right? So that's quite something. And if you continue over here, we've got of course the lovely space for two cup holders, very important, of course. And if you come further back here, is of course, first of all, let me point this out. So you've got these two buttons over here that you kind of press on, that, and you get that. And inside here, you've got two USB ports. There you go, two USB ports, one to plug in your phone and USB. You've got an auxiliary port, and you also do have SD card right over there. I'm gonna, there we go. If you pop that open, you're gonna see that you have an SD card slot right over there, right? That's something to add in as well. Quite a nice to have two USB ports for both the driver and the passenger as well. Coming over to the front over here is how much importance Mazda is given to safety over here. Now, usually you would only find the passenger, the second row, and the third row over here, and you would not find the third row because usually you don't have sensors on the third row. But in this case, Mazda has taken the effort to put the sensors all the way back to the third row. That's quite interesting. What might look a little ancient is this right here. There is a DVD player inside this car, which is pretty ancient. I haven't really seen, I mean, I'm beginning to realize that a lot of cars don't even have them at all in the first place. So pretty funny that Mazda's got this DVD player function put up here. Let's take a look at what else is there. From the point of view of a driver, the Mazda CX-8 is definitely a driver's car. The steering wheel is a real pleasure to hold and very smooth. There are smooth leather stuff, but the steering wheel does have quite a few functions on it. Now it's got, of course, the voice activate system. Say a command. Ask you to say a command so you can, say different things to the car and it'll do things. Of course, you've got your volume control. You've got your info. You can control the info. The info over here is also the info over there. You see that? You got your. You can set your trip meter on the top. If you look at that, that's the mileage meter. It tells you how many kilometers per liter you're driving. But then you can also switch it into temperature if you want, and information about service, and also the range. And of course this function is another one, which is tells you about the lane keeping and the distance from the car ahead of you. So that's a really cool function over there. You can of course connect your phone to pick up your phone and cancel your call there. Your cruise control function right here, right? The cruise control function right here is quite on and off as well. And remember, this is adaptive cruise control, so that means that you can actually set the distance in which you want the car ahead of, how far ahead you want the car ahead of you to be, right? On and off function over here. And to also point out that the instrument cluster itself is actually quite a cool looking instrument cluster. Standard sets on your steering stalks over here and over here, right? Standard setup. And maybe the additional function is right here. So you can see that you've got your I-stop, which means that the car will turn on and off when parked or when you're braked in traffic light. So that's one. This is the lane assist that lets you know when you've gone off lane. You can turn that on or off. The parking, of course, on and off. The TCS, the traction control system, on or off. And finally is the camera view. You can of course adjust the camera view to how you want it. So by pressing that button over here, you can toggle this on and off, right? And last but not least is the tailgate, like the electric tailgate that has been put in this, and I must say it's a very cool function. Press that and the tailgate opens up, right? We've got that. So overall, definitely a cool package in driving the Mazda CX-8. But that's just not it. Let's take a look at what else we have. Now, what makes this CX-8 that I'm driving here really special is that it's the very top of the range. That means it comes with a 2.2 liter diesel engine that produces 190 brake horsepower, and it produces 450 Newton meters of torque all the way from 2000 RPM. That's a lot of torque, but super useful when you're overtaking, when you're carrying lots of stuff, and what's making the CX-8 drive just so much fun. Definitely diesels are the way to go. So in true Mazda driving style, gotta admit that even though it's a big SUV, it's got really nice bucket seats over here. If you take a look at these, the side supports, these ensure that despite some hard cornering, the car still hugs you into place and ensures that you can still have fun while you're driving, right? But the real magic in the CX-8 is not the front, it's the second row. Let's go take a look. Now, while many SUVs do focus on the front, what Mazda has done is taken an extra focus, not just on the rear seats, it's even worked on the rear door. Now, while normal SUVs can open their doors just to about here, the CX-8 can go all the way up to here. Look at that. That's almost a 90-degree opening on the body, allowing you plenty of space to get inside. So take a look at that. That's plenty of space, not just for an executive to get in, but even for a mommy to get in with her kids, and maybe even to put in the safety seat for the children. But this really gives you so much space to get in. That's a very comfortable door. As I mentioned, it's the second row that Mazda has given extra effort in this version, the XDL. What's special about it? Well, let's start off with this right here. And you can see that the second row seats aren't actually just any seats. They're actually have got nice side support so that you can actually feel secure inside these seats, no matter how hard the corners are. But that's not where it ends. There's quite a bit more. Take a look at this. You can even control your own climate. So you have a separate air conditioning system just for the rear end, temperature and all that. Now that then in there, on this side, you even have two separate areas where you can put in items. And if you don't like the amount of sunlight coming into yourself, then you've got that. Wow. Simple, but nice to have. There's one thing that you might not necessarily want in a car in Thailand, but Mazda just threw it in there, and that is heated seats, right? And you have three settings, 3, 2, and 1 to heat yourself up in this case. Possibly the best highlight, however, is right underneath this, right? And that, if you come over here, is the two USB ports that are in here, allowing both the rear passengers to plug in their phones. And last but not least is one more specialty of these seats, and that's the fact that they can incline back quite a bit. Perfect for a nap. The rear seats of the CX-8 are definitely the most comfortable that I've ever experienced in a Mazda. I mean, there just isn't any other Mazda, at least here in Thailand, because there's the Mazda 2, the 3, you've got the CX-5, and now you've got the CX-8. We don't have the CX-9 here, remember that? So, which is why this right now is definitely a very comfortable experience. It is not the zoom experience that you're usually used to, but definitely more executive style. Now, isn't that a cool function? The CX-8 allows you to open its tailgate with a button on the key fob itself. But it's not just about the tailgate that's special. Even the third row are fairly well worked. Let's take a look at what that's like. Now before we head off to take a look at how the seats are to sit in, let's see how they're folded down. In this case, super easy. Fold this over, pops down, push it one more time, and there we go. 1 and 2. Super easy for giving us a flat space to put lots of stuff over here. And if you've got some extra stuff to put, there's a little bit of extra space for your shoes in here too. So you're sitting on the second row and you want to step over to the third row. How's that done? First of all, this massive door is such a blessing. So open it all the way up right? And we are going to just pull this down, which allows the second row to slide forward. Now it's super comfortable now for me to just step in here, and then we've got to pull back the second row and then set it up right. There we go. All comfy now in the third row. Now I do have comfortable cup holders and places to put things in, but my legs are still a little tight up front. It depends upon, of course, how back the second row passenger is sitting, but if you can move them forward a bit, things start to get a little bit more comfortable. There you go, there's more space. But in case your second row passenger isn't as nice to you and decides to come all the way back, so it then starts to get just a little tight. You do have a little bit of space over here, but that means moving your leg out through here and trying to find a spot right here. The third row is best left to kids, but if it's for short rides, it's fairly okay with the adults too. So what's the verdict for the CX-8 XDL? I have to admit that this is a softer version of the Mazda, right? It doesn't have as much of the zoom appeal that the other Mazdas have, but that's the most important thing, because this is a balance between two worlds. If you're a soccer mommy or a soccer daddy who likes the zoom effect, but still wants enough space to move your kids, or maybe you're an executive that needs to use this during the weekend and the weekdays, then the Mazda CX-8 XDL just might be your car of choice.